Good morning, Gladiator. Today is day 16 of the 21-day prep leading up to the Gladiator Summit. We're so close. What I want to do today is I want to take you through kind of a line tying everything together that we've gone through thus far. We've talked about the soul, we've talked about the flesh, how the flesh contends with the spirit. We've talked about the battle being about the soul. We talked about the soul being the seat of the emotions, the will, the decisions, and the personality. My desire in this is to take that deeper and get it past the intellect so that you can take it into the mainframe of who you are. Now, what I want to talk to you about right now is this understanding in Romans 12, 1 and 2, about the Lord telling us not to be conformed, but to be transformed. And I'm going to read the verse and then I'm going to break it down for you. I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good, acceptable, and perfect. All right, we're going to break this down real quick because it's very, very important. Essentially, what we've just been told is that the King of Kings wants you to be a living sacrifice. A living sacrifice, you would literally in the Roman Colosseum days, is you'd be tied to a post and you'd be burned alive. Living sacrifice, right? Burned alive. In that time period, everything was crucified. So the Lord is telling us here, that's what I want to happen to your flesh. Just like what was happening back there, I want you to become a living sacrifice, holy, set apart unto God. Now you and I, what happens a lot of times is when we get stuck in a rut, we start focusing on everything intellectually and we start holding this weight like dumbbells, or as long as you can intellectually hold that thing that you're supposed to do or be or become, you're good. But when that weight gets heavy, you drop the weight, that flesh pops up, the desires pop up, and then you fall into that sin. Whatever that sin is, anger, jealousy, strife, selfishness, lust, masturbation, pornography, fear, doubt, timidity, disbelief, lack of action. All of these things result from you not walking out the victory over the battle of your soul, the seat of your emotions, your will, your decisions, and your personality. Now remember, that's the battle of Armageddon. That's the at the end, that's what it's all about. What is your Magito? What are you fighting for? If you take control of this, you'll take control of your world. And that's what it is. It's the soul. Unfortunately, we're stuck believing these intellectual thoughts of, I gotta just try hard. And then you get so stuck, right? That, yeah, I'm just an angry person, or I struggle with anger. No, the King of Kings is telling us to be a living sacrifice. Cut it all out. Shine light on all your blind spots. You should always, every day in every way, be getting stronger and stronger because you're shining light on all your blind spots and you're removing the blind spots. Psalms 51:10 says, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Okay, couple key points here. We hear right here that David's telling us that you can have a clean heart. Got that one. We can have a clean heart. And then in Romans 12, 1 and 2, we're hearing that God's commanding us to be a living sacrifice. And not only is He commanding us to be a living sacrifice, but He's also telling us that you can be conformed and you can be transformed. Okay, this breeds hope. You can be transformed. But now He's actually commanding us, be transformed. Now, whether you're conformed to this world or transformed by the King, both of them are taking control. Something is actually taking control. If you're conformed, the devil takes control. If you're transformed, the king takes control. The only way one can take control is if you give it access. And the loudest emotion in your soul is going to win out. This is so basic, but it is riveting. It's so basic, it's riveting though, because you've now realized that you're in control, whether you give the enemy a gateway through your flesh to actually come in and to steal, kill, and destroy in your soul, steal your emotions, your will, your decisions, your personality. But the King of Kings wants you to be transformed. So what do? We've got to take control. How do you take control? Not intellectually. Forget the intellect. Forget the intellect. It is not going to serve you unless you take it deeper. Yes, we have to master the understanding of the practical picture. Get it, got it, okay. But now we got to go deep. The loudest emotion wins out. We transform by emotional mastery. And you become what we call gaining solical mastery. Mastery over your soul. Solical mastery. Mastery over your soul. So, a couple key things. I'm going to walk you through a couple key points so that you can kind of tie a bow around this. In the Federal Reserve, they have some inspectors. They have trained those inspectors' eyes to be able, as money's coming in, to see and tell if the money's counterfeit or if it's genuine, authentic, real. The way they have trained them is by training their eyes. As soon as they see a dollar bill come through that's not real, they know immediately. The way that makes it easy for them to know if it's real is because they've spent a lot of time with what's real. They've touched what's real. They've actually spent a lot of time touching it and feeling it. And the more they actually touch it and feel it, the more they're in its presence, the more they smell it, the more they understand it. They actually can tell, oh, that one's fake. The key point here is that's how believers in Jesus gotta be. The way you're going to know if the enemy's trying to come in, the way you're going to know how he's coming in, not as getting stuck in your head like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be good. Oh yeah, don't have stress. Oh yeah, don't get angry. Oh yeah, oh here's your opportunity. Don't hold the weight. Don't be angry. Be good. Don't masturbate. Yeah, okay, stay strong. Okay, do it. Not in the intellect. In the soul, we want solical mastery where it's on autopilot. We want to become so well at knowing what's counterfeit down here because we spend so much time with Jesus down here. See, that's what it's all about. We want to spend so much time with Jesus. Not in our head where we're reading, not in our head where we're worshiping. We want to worship and read down here where it's loud and emotional. The loudest emotion wins out over the soul. The flesh must be crucified. The flesh doesn't get crucified up here. The flesh gets crucified by purging it. The word purge means abrupt force. Okay, living sacrifice is an abrupt force. To be transformed or conformed is control. Something has control. The flesh has control or the spirit has control. The devil has control or the king has control. I'm about ready, aren't you, to say no more to the enemy. We're going to crucify the flesh to be a living sacrifice. So the king, here's the points I want you to get. The king told us and commanded us, you can be transformed. Point one, you can be transformed, which means you got to be transformed. There's no other way around it. See, it's not like, oh, I'm trying, oh, I'm going to do the roller coaster. No more roller coaster. The king commanded it. If he commands it, then Jesus has enough blood and power in the blood to heal your infirmaries and to raise you up from the dead as a living testimony of the king. So if he commands it, you can do it. And it's not you doing it in your flesh. Like, that's ludicrous. The flesh is the gateway to the enemy's pathway to your soul. No, we're crucifying the flesh. We're getting rid of you trying hard. Holding that weight up. Quit trying hard, crucify the flesh, and own your domain. Take control. Take control in the Spirit. No more trying out of the head. Take control. When we take control of our domain, where our emotions lie, then we take those emotions. I'll teach you at Gladiator Summit. We take those emotions and we set them up here. We take all the treasure and we store the treasure in heaven in Ephesians 2:6. So now we have full control. When you have control over the soul, you own the battleground. Victory is yours before the field is taken. You control your emotions. You control your thoughts. You control your will. You control your personality. Last point I want to make is that the word warfare is a powerful word. It actually means campaign or expedition. Now, the enemy is campaigning and creating an expedition against you, a strategic battle plan. So the third point now is that you've got to actually have a strategic battle plan. You've got to have a strategic battle plan. You got to know the difference between fact or fiction. You got to know the difference between phony or counterfeit or real. You've got to know the difference between invisible king and visible problems. And you've got to actually know that the enemy has a battle plan against you and that the battle is for your soul. So if you and I know the battle is for our soul, then we actually want to take control of the soul. 2 Corinthians 10:4 says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal," they're not fleshful, "but mighty in God." So you have weapons. He's commanded you and I to take control, and He's giving us heavenly weapons. This is sounding good. We're on an upward swing here, fellas. 2 Timothy 2:4, "No one engaged in warfare entangles himself with affairs of this life." James 4:1, "Where do wars and fights come from among you? Where do these campaigns come from among you? Where do these desires come from among you? Demonic attacks from spiritual battles, plans from the enemy." How does he get in? Through your flesh. So we're going to crucify the flesh. And then 1 Peter 2:11, "Beloved, I beg you as sojourners and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against your soul." This denotes that there's a war going on, a battle, a strategic battle plan, and it's for the Megiddo of you. It's for whatever controls you, which is your soul. See, there's a so great salvation that 1 Peter 2:11 is talking about. It's warring against your soul. The enemy knows that the treasure of you is your soul, where the nervous system is, the seat of your emotions, your will, your decisions, your personality. This is who you are. This is what goes to heaven or hell. That is the epitome of everything for an ambassador of Christ. And so the heart, we'll talk about at Gladiator Summit, is right next to the soul, and we want to cleanse both. We want to purge both. So while you're going through the week, you got one more week left till Gladiator Summit. I want you to take it up a notch. Let loose of the weight. Let loose of the, do it in your own power. Let loose of the, I'm trying hard. See, trying hard is not of a kingdom mindset, of a gladiator's domain, because he knows he can't hold the weight for a long time. He doesn't endure longer. He dies, puts on the righteousness of the king. It's not here, though. It's okay, now God's going to do it. Yay, God. No, that's not it either. See, it's not you just get away from it and now you go turn passive, or you do it all in your own strength. It's neither. It's you step into Christ, putting on the armor of God, taking authority Now I'm not doing it in my own strength. I'm doing it in the authority of the King of Kings. I'm owning the domain in which I walk into. This is a piercing difference. I truly walk into a domain and I own it. I own the room. People turn and they see me and they know something's different about the room. The energy shifts. The trajectory of the atmosphere moves. The enemy knows my name. I have a reputation with him and he goes down. The enemy goes down. The filters of the gateways in which he attacks are removed. Authority has been brought forth. The boiling point of the king lives in me. See, that's a whole different place. When we start fighting for the soul with a strategic battle plan, my last point, point 4, is you must have a strategic battle plan. And that battle plan is a set resolve that you win, and you'll do whatever it takes to win. And you do it because you crucify the flesh, you become a living sacrifice to the king, you obey his commands, and you take on Jesus. Now, when you do that, the intimacy of the king becomes real. I'm going to leave you with this. Do you have intimacy with the king? Do you own the domain that you walk into? That's where we're going. You've got to gain a new vision, a new identity of that. Whether you're a 0 or a 9.5 on that scale, it's time to take it to a whole nother level. It's time to know his voice so loud that everything else becomes strangely dim. It's time that you never get triggered. It's time to actually shift yourself in such a way that you continually grow in capacity for his intimacy. There's another level, my men. This is where we're going. We're taking control of the soul. Because I promise you, he commands it's possible, and you can become fully free. I love you guys. We'll see you in a couple days.